Kids these days don't even get good stuff in movies. Back in my day, movies had heart and soul and, who am I kidding? We used to watch the Fast and the Furious movies for cars, even if Dom and his family values are now the memes and the meat of those movies.
I don't have friends. I got family.
I can't deny that Fast and Furious made an impact on my life.
The tuna.
No crust.
No crust.
With great writing and even better racing, these movies can turn someone from a casual moviegoer to, man, I want that car, within 2 hours. What happened to those cars anyways? Can you buy one and drive one of Dom's cars down the road? I decided to find out. Welcome back to Tuna No Crust, and today we have something slightly different on the menu. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around for the icebreaker in the comments. The Fast and the Furious franchise almost needs no introduction. It's Universal's biggest franchise. Yes, even with giants like Jurassic Park, Kung Fu Panda, and Despicable Me in the mix. The first movie in the series came out in 2001. There have been 9 main series movies, several spin-offs, and even an animated series since. But just in case you managed to miss it, here's the gist. Dominic "Dom" Toretto is blamed for stealing trucks. Curious LAPD officer Brian O'Connor looks into the missing vehicles. His cover is blown, but he doesn't give up. He brings a modified Mitsubishi Eclipse to a car meet, races Dom, and the rest, as they say, is history. Over time, the series became less about street racing and more about, well,
His family.
fans thank or blame the Fast Five for this. The studios probably thought the street racing idea was too niche, so making it more heartfelt with spy plots and cool cars probably increased its audience appeal. Since then, enemies became friends, friends became enemies, and you should probably watch the entire series for the best results. But you're here for cars, and I aim to please. What kinds of cars are we talking about, and where are they now? Let's start with how hero cars are made, filmed, and shot. If a car is 100% original, an artist has to design every detail. But even a recognized car that wasn't made for the movies has a lot of work put into it, from paint jobs to interior design details. Film studios also have similar-looking cars for use in stunts and other shots. There's not just one Dodge Charger, more like 6. The choice of hero car can say a lot about its driver. For example, Dom always drives some sort of big, black muscle car, usually but not always vintage, and usually a Dodge. He goes so far as to sand the paint off a car to make it dark. His taste in cars was influenced by his father, and that ties into Vin Diesel's favorite word, family. What about the cars of his rival, the cop Brian O'Connor? Those are more expensive than Dom's all-black vehicles of choice. Someone had to draw all those decals. That said, the Fast and the Furious movies are expensive. They've wrecked thousands of cars over the entire run of the franchise. But if you think that'll net you an easy movie prop, think again. Even wrecked cars can go for a pretty penny. One of the 5 Ford Escorts from Fast and Furious 6 didn't survive a stunt. A British collector bought the chassis for around $90,000 and restored it. Now that's a fan. Finally, once major brands saw how popular Fast and Furious was getting, they wanted in on the action. Plymouth, for example, almost used the showroom model of the Roadrunner in the movies. It's a ton of publicity. With the notable exception of Ferrari, almost every major brand wants in. F&F hosts casting calls for cars in its movies, so who knows what we might see next. So what happens to these cars after the director says cut? There are a few possibilities. In the case of the Fast movies, many of them went on the market. We have a lot of cool vehicles to cover, so I'm going to divide this section into 3. The cars you can see in museums, the cars that went into private collections, and the cars we don't know the whereabouts of. Museums. 1970 Dodge Charger RT, Volo Auto Museum, Illinois. Fast and Furious wouldn't be the same without Dom's signature 1970 Dodge Charger RT. As you might expect, several Chargers were used between movies and for stunts. The one you want is currently in the Volo Auto Museum in Illinois. Several others were bought by an Italian collector. The Ice Charger, etc. Hollywood Star Cars Museum. Many Fast and the Furious cars are in the Hollywood Star Cars Museum in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. These include the Ice Charger from F8, the lime green Mitsubishi Eclipse, one of the Nissan Skylines, and more. It's worth checking their website out if you want to see a lot of the cars from the movies. Note, both this museum and Volo have an Ice Charger. This may be a replica, or it may be a stunt double. Honda S2000, Peterson Automotive Museum, Los Angeles, California. Interestingly, the car was borrowed from R.G. de Vera, the guy who played Danny Yamato in the first movie. It was bought by the producers and painted bright pink between the two productions. But really, R.G. de Vera has an interesting automotive resume himself. Let me know if you want a video about him. There may be a few other automotive museums that have genuine cars from the Fast and the Furious. However, car customizers are very good at what they do, and the other museums I looked at may not be legit. I saw a lot of replicas. Collections: 1995 Volkswagen Jetta, Frankie Muniz. Although not as iconic as the Charger, the Volkswagen Jetta still got plenty of screen time in the original Fast and the Furious. The Jetta from this movie was eventually bought by Frankie Muniz. Yeah, the kid from Malcolm in the Middle. Admit it, you never thought Vin Diesel and Frankie Muniz had anything in common. 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner, Jamie Vickers. The 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner is the second most iconic car in the Fast franchise. It appeared in 3 of the 9 movies: Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift, and Furious 7. The crew wanted a car that could match the Charger in power and presence. If any car wreck could make you cry, it was seeing this baby crash and burn. They didn't want to damage the show model, but its stunt double lives on. That 1970 Roadrunner went to Jamie Vickers, a production designer. Mitsubishi 2002 Lancer Evolution 7, French collector. The documentation is a little hazy on this one, but after it was sold on eBay, the "Where'd you get an Evo from" car has been restored by a French collector. Unknown. 1970 Chevelle SS, sold at a Lloyd's auction in September 2020. The 1970 Chevy Chevelle SS was seen in most of Too Fast, Too Furious. Its cherry red paint job was sanded off, making way for the gunmetal gray seen on the auction floor. A Chevelle like this can go for $99,000, but two things separate this one from the rest: an autograph and, well, nobody detailed it before putting it up for auction. Despite the substantial news coverage, both the final price and the Chevelle's current whereabouts are unknown. I just hope whoever has it watches it very carefully. Don't damage that autograph. 1989 Nissan Skyline GTR, auction in May 2023, buyer unknown. Every Fast movie has a 1989 Nissan Skyline GTR in it somewhere, or so the legend goes, but the most famous one was driven by Paul Walker, aka Brian O'Connor. This car was tailor-made to Walker's specifications, and the same care was taken when it was put on display at Munich Motor World. The car was given a special coating to protect the paint, and the seat remains in Walker's position. The car sold for $1.37 million, $250,000 more than others of its kind. I don't know who bought this, but I'm not sure they plan on driving it. O'Connor's Toyota Supra, sold at the Las Vegas Barrett-Jackson auction in June 2021. You're probably seeing a trend here. These cars go up to the auction block and vanish. Such is the case with O'Connor's bright orange 1994 Toyota Supra. It appeared at a Barrett-Jackson auction in 2021, sold for a hefty $550,000, and was never seen again. Despite O'Connor being an antagonist/rival, his Supra is often considered the hero car, so I'd love to know where this one went. So, let's say you have the money to afford these pieces of movie and automotive history. You see an auction that looks like it might be one of the cars. Stop right there. The market is flooded with custom jobs and replicas. You can get, say, a 1970 Dodge Charger and pretend that you're Dom, but it's unlikely that the Italian collector will let one of his babies go. Read the fine print, and if something looks too good to be true, it probably is. I love the Fast series and was really curious to know what happened to its iconic vehicles. But what about you? What movie props are you most curious about? Track them down, then tell the world what you found in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see guys making and driving cars without a script, and we'll see you on the next road trip because you're like family to me.